Good morning. Welcome to our webinar today. This is Nashville Computer. We've been in business for a little over 20 years. We offer off-site backup with continuous data protection, backups every 15 to 20 minutes, help desk and remote support for your end users. We offer 24/7 server and desktop monitoring, cloud computing, and we also offer website hosting as well as website design. Been in business, like I said, since 1988. My name is Charles Henson. I'm Vice President of Nashville Computer, author of the books Hassle-Free Computer Support and Cloud Computing, a guide for executives and business owners. Got a special guest today, Will Cook with RCG, Resource Communications Group. He's a corporate account manager, and I'll let Will introduce himself and tell you a little bit about his company.
Good morning, Charles. Thanks again for this opportunity. Really excited to be here this morning. Also just excited about our growing partnership with Nashville Computer. RCG, Resource Communications Group, we're based out of Franklin, Tennessee. What we pride ourselves at being is a single source telecom provider or single source telecom solution provider for our clients. We work with our clients in all facets of telecom needs. We work with them with their wireless needs, wireline, cabling, phone equipment, and we just want to make sure that from a client perspective that we're making their telecom processes and their telecom needs easy, and that's what we do.
Okay, great. Today's webinar we're going to be talking about protecting your mobile phones, tablets, and other portable devices. We'll cover what threats there are for your mobile and portable devices, how to protect your devices from viruses, malware, spyware, and smishing, and we'll get into that a little bit and explain what that is, what safeguards you need in place in case your device is lost or stolen, and what to do if your portable device is lost. So what you need to do before it's lost and stolen, and then what to do if you do lose it or if it's stolen. So some of the questions, some of the things that you need to know today is that mobile devices are now in the mainstay of business. They're used all day, every day in businesses as users are in the office as well as out of the office. Businesses need and want their employees to have company data on their phones. Businesses also allow smart devices such as iPads, tablets, smartphones, and any other devices. The corporate clients are allowing, and businesses are allowing more and more individual users bringing their own devices into the workplace and using those as a device to get their work done. It's BYOD, and you may have seen that as more and more commercials are touching on cloud and things of that nature. It's the bring your own device. So companies are allowing their individuals to bring those devices in and use them, but we'll get into the security threat of that and what company data is now on your individual employees' devices. And company data is now mobile. So what you need to understand is that you've got a firewall, you've got a server, you've got your workstations, and everything's protected, but as soon as you put in a mobile device and they start syncing data to that device, now that data is now mobile. And so if that device is lost or stolen, or if you need to terminate that employee for some reason, then you need to know how to protect that data. So some of the questions that we're going to have, I'll ask Will is, how do I control my company's information? How many mobile devices have my company info on them? And then how do I keep information safe on devices that my company does not own? So the phone is actually owned by the employee. The employee has their your company data, your company email, and things of that nature on it. How do you protect yourself from that employee doing something on their personal device?
Yeah, it seems like that client is probably already working with that BYOD model, or bring your own device, and we need to make sure we can help them understand if and when that end user leaves the company or goes away or loses that device, how can they sleep at night knowing their information is safe? Okay. We're going to answer that for them.
All right. Mobile device management. What is it? At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Will and let him explain what MDM is and a little bit about what they offer and the solutions that are out there.
Thanks, Charles. Yeah, mobile device management is the new buzzword for telecom these days. Just like over the years in telecom, we had DSL, we had all these different things that were going along. Well, MDM is kind of that new buzzword, and this is something that our company has taken a very large interest in and a strong interest in, not just for our clients, but also for our own company material and our own company information. Mobile device management is something we utilize every day. I carry an iPad for work, and I also carry an iPhone. And the good thing about those is I do need both of these devices every day to do my job when I'm out visiting my clients and seeing my partners and just being out of the office. But I also like this because all of my information is stored and is safe on the server and is protected. I'm also a bring your own device user, so I can tell you specifically how the bring your own device model not only applies to RCG, but it also applies to Will Cook. And so there are a lot of benefits for both, for me, the end user, and also for Resource Communications Group as far as making sure our data is protected. Mobile device management, pretty much in today's layman's terms, is how do we keep these devices secure? How do we keep them secure? How do we keep them locked down? Just as Nashville Computer takes care of your PCs and your servers and your laptops to make sure those devices have all the virus scans, all the virus, antivirus running on and keeping all the malware off. These devices are becoming even more, I would say, a liability for our clients and probably for you if you're watching this webinar.
They're becoming a target.
They really are becoming a target. And the biggest thing that we look at with our clients is these are open devices. If you don't have these locked down and if you don't have them managed and you don't have them password protected, and I'll share a personal story a little later that I went through, you really are opening yourself up to a lot of headaches. And these devices, while they're great to use, we're very dependent on them. I mean, we are very dependent on them day to day. And mobile device management truly allows you to be protected on these devices. Mobile device management it's a system. It's a system that secures, it monitors, and it supports all your mobile devices. The great thing about mobile device, and I'll show if you have an iPad, basically the first thing looking at my iPad when I pull it up is I have a secure logon. That actually makes sure that it's password protected and the device cannot just be picked up and logged into. The great thing about MDM is it's agnostic to the carrier. Now what that means to you and what RCG is also agnostic to the carrier. We work with everybody. We can work with AT&T, we can work with Sprint, we can work with Verizon. We actually are starting to do some work with T-Mobile.
Okay.
So from you being the end user, we are not in the space to say you have to move from one carrier to the other. So that makes it simple for you. The other thing about mobile device management is it's agnostic to all platforms. Okay. So if you are a small company or you're a middle size or large company, if you have Blackberries, if you have Android devices, if you have tablets, you have iPads, or you have iPhones, even data cards, it will work across all of those users. You don't have to move all your devices to iPhones. You don't have to move everything to a Blackberry. It'll really allow you to do many different options. The other great thing about it is that there are probably 5 or 6 major carriers for mobile device management. We are actually licensed to work with all of them. So I'll get into a little bit of information on that a little bit later, but we really want to make sure from our standpoint that we're agnostic, and that allows us to give the client the best user experience and also the best advice on what's the best situation for them.
So just to clarify, you don't have to switch providers to run your software on your devices.
And that's what's been really good. We're seeing a lot of growth in this space from the carriers.
Okay.
AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, they all realize this is a huge need for security.
Sure. And
so that makes it a lot easier for the client. The other cool thing is, or the nice thing about MDM is whatever license you run on an iPhone will be the exact same license for an Android or for an iPad or for a tablet. Okay. So you don't have to get into confusion of what do I get, how do I set it up. It's pretty easy to manage and maintain as well.
Okay.
Now MDM it's really a growing concept, but what it typically includes, it's over-the-air distribution of your applications through to a wireless device. It's over-the-air, it's sending your data, and it's also sending configuration settings for all your mobile devices. The intent of MDM is to optimize the functionality and security of a mobile communications network while minimizing cost and downtime. What we look at it from our clients is we aid them with this MDM management piece, or either easily set it up to where they can manage it and maintain it themselves. But we want to make sure that should there be a security breach on one of their devices, that they're able to respond as quickly as possible to that breach or to that change of setting. And again, this applies to both company-owned and employee-owned devices. So basically, you have access to any and all devices that are on your network within, just a couple of minutes of logging into a portal.
Okay.
Here's the big question: why do you need MDM? A lot of my clients, when we start the conversation with them, one, it's some confusion. What is it? How does it work? And of course, how much does it cost? Sure. That's usually the big things. What we always like to talk to our clients about is pretty much every day now, everyone has mobile devices. And also, everyone has a mobile device, and chances are you've got more than one. Right. Like myself, I have the tablet and I have the iPhone. The other clients say we have we have different platforms to support. What that means is I've got BlackBerry users, I've got Android users, I've got iPhone users. How am I going to balance all of that? Normally, that would seem you need 3 or 4 different platforms. Mm-hmm. Mobile device management, you don't. This will actually allow you to give one place of management to look at every device on your network. Okay. Here's why I really like mobile device management personally. It is the separation of personal data and corporate data. Okay. We see that as being a critical function in today's environment. Let me share a quick story for you. This was recently in the news, so it is something that has been public on several of the trade magazines. But there's a major corporation, global corporation, that allowed an employee to come to work and use his personal device to access their network. They had no MDM in place. They had no way to pretty much segment Jim Smith's data from their corporate data. Unfortunately, Jim Smith was going through a very bad divorce, very bad personal situation. Okay. Jim had some very personal information on his phone regarding to his legal issue. Okay. When he left that company, the IT department wiped that entire phone.
His personal phone?
His personal phone.
Okay.
Now, in their mind, they were doing what they thought was IT compliant. They were pulling off their proprietary information. Mm-hmm. At the same time, they pulled off Jim Smith's personal text messages, personal emails, and personal pictures of his children. Jim Smith sued that company for $10 million, and he won.
Okay.
So, from the court systems that we're in a crazy environment now. Sure. We're in a very litigious society, unfortunately, and so we pretty much share that story with clients and say this is just a really good way to protect you. It's protecting your client. It's protecting your data. It's also protecting you from something unfortunate should that happen.
Yeah, and it's really hard. I guess when you terminate somebody, there's a lot of stopgaps. I know that with Nashville Computer, we have an entire process that we have to follow through. Mm-hmm. Because we've got remote access to the different servers, the different workstations. We have different clients that we have to change their passwords on. Mm-hmm. We have firewall rules that have to change. And then the thing that I saw recently in the news was, I believe I saw it on LinkedIn, a corporation had let go like 50 employees. Well, what they didn't realize is they terminated the employees, but the employees still had access to the Twitter accounts. Mm-hmm. And so you really don't know what the employee's going to do after the fact. Yeah. Of course, this is, that's mud on their face, and they're going to have to backtrack and do a lot of damage control.
Sure.
But with the MDM software, what you're telling me is you would be able to go into the device and wipe just the corporate data and leave the individual phones alone.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And really the other thing we look at clients, or we talk to our clients about, is really making, MDM helps us focus on the mobile device.
Okay.
Most of the time, if this happens, the mobile device is really far down the list of things to do. We don't think about collecting that phone, or we don't think about that cell number and the impact of that device. And our clients are really, we're encouraging them to work, and this is probably a totally different webinar topic, is to really focus on keeping that data safe. But MDM will help with that. The final topic on here is just ensuring IT compliance.
Okay.
There's so many ways now that the devices are tied back to IT, and that there's so many other compliance issues you have out there, like HIPAA and a lot of other things, and the MDM really will also allow you to control those type items. For example here, MDM allows you to set different settings on the phone.
Okay.
So if you don't want your employees playing Angry Birds in the office, you can set it on mobile device while they're in your building. They can't access Angry Birds. We get a feedback from our clients just from an efficiency,
Right.
how much that's helped. They may limit to where you can't, they filter out Facebook.
Sure.
They filter out YouTube. There are a lot of those type settings that mobile device allows you to do, and our clients are coming back and saying, for pennies on the dollar, we're recouping hours of efficiency during the day. So those are a couple things.
And just to clarify, that's even on a device that the corporation doesn't own.
Absolutely.
So they bring in their individual phones, and it blocks those games and things. And can you open it up for like lunchtime?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it is
Absolutely.
time and
Yeah.
sensitive. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Because we're doing that more and more with firewalls, is we're blocking internet access to certain types of sites,
Sure.
certain content. But then the client says, well, you can open it up during lunch so that they can actually,
Sure.
upload their statuses on Facebook or whatever they want to do. But one of the things that I've seen increasingly as a problem, I see it as a problem, is that when I'm in a client's office and I'm working on somebody's computer or walking into somebody's office, and I've walked by offices, a lot of times the employee's sitting there with their phone under the desk and the computer's sitting there unmanned.
Yeah.
They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing because their phone has them distracted.
Sure.
And how often does that happen? It happens all the time, all day long. And so, with the economy the way it is, you're paying these employees to be efficient, and you want them to work the 8 hours that you're paying them to work, but you still want to give them some freedom during lunchtime and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So this to me is just a huge benefit, and I can see where it would really boost productivity.
Absolutely. We've talked a little bit about some of the features of the MDM environment. One of the things I really like about it is it enforces the password protection.
Okay.
Basically, just like you can set up a laptop or a desktop to be password protected at all times, the mobile devices are just as critical. Okay. And what we see is if a client will force an end user to have a password encrypted device, sometimes they'll try to get away from that, and they'll try to turn that feature off. MDM, if the password protection is turned off, the management person or the person's overseeing that feature of it will get an email alert. Okay. So they'll know that the device has been, that it's currently not password protected, or something has been changed on that setting for the device. Okay. So that helps you there. Selective wipe, this is what we talked about a few minutes ago. Everything in the mobile device world, you'll hear the term profile. What's your profile? Just in the IT world, your user profile, and those are just as critical. You're seeing a lot of the same lingo between a laptop and a mobile device. Okay. What this allows me, the mobile device manager, person managing that piece of it, is it will allow me to only select wipe certain things. Like if I have a personal data, the end user's personal information and their corporate data, we can selectively do the wipe instead of having to clean the whole device off. Okay. So that makes it a little bit easier. Operating system management, this is another big thing we hear back from clients. I've got an end user that's jailbreaking his phone. Okay. We don't like that. We do not want the phones to be jailbroken. We don't want them to be rooted. Okay. So basically, to help you understand that layman's term, a jailbreaking is if you go into an iPhone and you basically can change the operating system of the iPhone to where you can do a lot of kind of outside apps, if you will, and kind of breaking down the internal settings on those phones. That's not safe for a device, as you know. It's not safe for a device. It's also not safe for a network. And so if I'm an end user and I jailbreak my phone, then Charles is going to get an automatic email saying Will's messing with his phone.
Okay.
So then that allows the client to, there's an HR policy, things like that to look at, but at least you know that that's going on.
Can I ask you something about jailbreaking?
Sure.
And this is something I've kind of wanted to know as well. When you jailbreak a phone, you can get apps outside of Apple's trusted store.
Correct.
Correct?
That is correct.
And so that's where really the security risk comes into play.
That's right.
Is because Apple, you're running an Apple device that doesn't have the Apple supported software on it,
right,
that may have a bug in the back end that you don't know about, or
right,
a back door to let somebody have access
that's
to that phone, as well as they can download apps now off the internet, which may and may not be trusted.
Exactly.
Whereas if they don't have a jailbroken phone, they have to download it from the Apple Store, which is a trusted
That's exactly right.
source.
That's exactly right.
All right,
yeah,
great. It's kind of like getting your medicine through Canada, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is a huge, as we hear from clients, usually that's the first thing that kind of gets shut down. I mean, really the whole jailbreaking, and you don't see a lot of that, but more and more you see it as the new devices come out. Techies just want to see what the device can do. Right. What can it do? What can we do with it? And that's where we get some feedback on that.
Okay.
Another thing we see a lot of is application management. We are having an increase in our clients that are building their own apps. Okay. Instead of going to the App Store or outsourcing it, Nashville Computer may have your own applications.
Right.
MDM will allow you to push those apps to your end user.
Okay.
So instead of having to go to every single device and download, the same app or the same software 10, 15, 20 times, you just simply would zip it out to the device just like you would a patch.
Can you do updates as well?
Absolutely.
Across
absolutely. And so again, instead of touching, let's just say your fleet of mobile devices is 25 phones. Instead of touching all 25 phones, you hit send on the application management tab, and all 25 users will get a little email note that they need to do the update.
It updates the phones. Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
So that helps. This is a huge one here that I'll touch on, is GPS for lost or stolen devices.
Okay.
There are several apps that are out there like Find My iPhone and a couple of those that are out there. MDM takes it a little bit further than that. And actually, as long as the battery, now this is where we're limited to, we've got to make sure we have battery life on the device. But there's actually a GPS tracking mechanism that can be enabled. You don't have to enable it, but for us, we've seen where it always pays off to have it enabled.
Sure.
If you have a device that's lost, stolen, maybe you have a C-level that lays his phone down somewhere and forgets it or doesn't know where it's at, we can pinpoint it pretty much within a matter of minutes and tell you where that phone is. A quick story, we had a client here locally here in Nashville. His daughter was visiting in Chicago.
Okay.
She lost the phone. And it did have personal info, but it also had corporate information on that phone.
Okay.
Well, he called us and said, can you help us find it? His main thing is he didn't want to pay $700 for another iPhone.
Sure.
So that's really what you're looking at. But that's a huge feature that a lot of our clients are using. And then lastly is remote lockdown, and that's kind of the same story. If you have a user that has lost or stolen, maybe had their device stolen or they've lost it or misplaced it, in a matter of seconds you can log in and lock that phone down. Okay. Basically, you can't call on it, you can't text it, you can't access it.
Okay.
If there's a huge concern that it's in someone's hands, you can wipe it.
Okay.
And then if the phone's located, you can restore it.
Okay.
So those are a couple of extra features.
So if you just lost it, then you could actually restore it back to the way it was, instead of you thinking that you had left it in a store or somewhere.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Now, how does it fit in your system? This is another good question we get, and really from an IT partner, your guys are probably wanting to know the same type of setting. Is this another box? Is this another piece we have to manage? Most of our clients use the software as a service. That's usually what we recommend. It's easier. It's basically cloud computing. You just access it through the cloud. For customers who have a large number of units and have the IT staff that really want to do this,
Mm-hmm.
there is a premise model that they can buy or they can invest in.
Okay.
And it's actually just going to be another box or another server that would sit on their location.
Okay.
Touching on this, for the software as a service, we work with all the major carriers. Just to give you some ideas, we work with AirWatch, Zenprise, Moss 360, and Mobile Iron. Those are usually the top, I won't say the top four, they're the most well-known four in that space. They all offer the software as a service, and most of them have a premise model. MDM solutions are very scalable, and this is why we like it, and this is why it has been such a great fit for RCG and our clients. Is we can work with clients with as few as 5 or 10 devices, or we can work with clients that have 10,000 or more.
Okay.
So that's why it's been really easy for us. And then the multi-tenant environment, as we talked about earlier, it allows an enterprise to manage multiple device groups. So it's very important to know that you can easily set your profiles, if you will, up for different users. You can have an admin, of course your C-level users. If they want to play Angry Birds, let them play Angry Birds.
Sure.
But if you also want to have the general everyday users that need to have a little bit more limitation on it, you can do profile management that makes it pretty easy.
And again, just to clarify, this is on devices that the corporation owns as well as their employees' devices.
Absolutely.
All right.
A couple case studies that I'll share. These are just some of the ones that I deal with, that I've dealt with myself. Is we have a client. We have clients that its email was on their individual personal phone.
Okay.
I shared this one a little bit earlier. The IT wiped the phone, thinking that it was the right thing to do. I mean, the employee had left the company, and it resulted in loss of that personal data. It was one of those situations where it happens more than we think. It's a common issue in the mobile space right now, and basically what we in another one of our clients had a same situation with email where the device was actually ran over by a car.
Okay.
And so they ran over it, and the phone was completely destroyed. And so when we wiped it, we wiped out all the data. So that was kind of it's kind of an oops, because once that data is gone, without MDM, you can't just restore it back.
Well, let me ask you something while we're on that. Is it possible to back up the data that's on the device?
It can be. Usually what happens is if you have the iPhone, you have iTunes, which is what I personally back mine up to.
Right. So we put that information in the iCloud.
Yeah, you can put it in the iCloud. As we've talked to clients and even personal friends, not many people utilize that.
Right.
I mean, we recommend for people to personally back up their device, but a lot of times just text messaging, things like that. I'm not sure if those can be backed up, because those are hosted on the server with the carrier.
Right.
But emails, pictures, content, contacts, things like that, those can be.
Okay. Great.
Another client and I touched on this one a few minutes ago, he had misplaced his phone. We actually used the MDM to actually track it.
Okay.
Luckily, he had just left it at home.
Okay.
So in that situation, we didn't have to wipe it. We didn't have to do anything with the device. But he's a president of a pretty large distributing company here in Tennessee.
Okay.
So just the fact that he had laid that phone down and probably have had to erase some of the data.
Peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, peace of mind.
Absolutely.
So because if you do leave your phone behind, and if you don't have it secure with a password, then who knows what people are going to do.
Absolutely.
You can browse through, look at their pictures, send messages.
Absolutely.
Send text, whatever you want to do with that device is now yours. And that's one of the things that we have our engineers here is everybody has a password on their phone. So you can't just pick up a phone and email out from it or text somebody else.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, what are some of the threats out there for the mobile device and the portable devices? So essentially today we talked about how to protect your portable device from viruses, malware, and spyware by installing these programs on there. Pretty much most everyone knows what viruses, malware, malicious software, and spyware, spying on what you're doing and browsing for on the internet. What is smishing? Can you explain that to us and tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, smishing is the new just major headache of mobile devices.
Okay.
I'm sure you're all aware of the term called phishing.
Yes.
And where do we get phishing? We get phishing from someone sending you a malicious email or sending you some type of email information that they are trying to gain personal data from you.
So
They're
like
telling you,
it looked like it's coming from the bank.
Exactly.
Or eBay, you need
Exactly.
to reset your password.
That's right.
And then they maliciously have a site that looks just like it.
Exactly.
That's the phishing.
That's exactly right. They're trying to gain your bank account information, your credit cards, your social security number. You know, they may tell you that we've seen or heard of several from the IRS, you know, to look at tax information. Smishing is SMS texting of the same type.
Okay.
So basically on your phone, you're going to see a text message that's going to come in that is going to come up from, not really, it's going to be usually a 6-digit number, not a 10-digit number. Because even if Charles, if you're sending me a text message, it's going to pop up on my phone that it's from Charles Henson.
Right.
If I didn't have you in my contacts, it's going to show up as a 10-digit telephone number, 615, okay? A smishing number is going to show up usually as a 6-digit number. Because those are usually global. Those are some type of global IDs, or they're just some type of fabricated ID. And what they're going to be asking you for is the same type of information. They're going to want to know, it may be something of a family member is trying to reach you to get money, a lot of different things. So the smishing, just to keep it real easy for you, is just be very careful on your text messaging. If you don't know that person, even if you respond to them and say, "Who is this? I'm sorry, I don't know who this is," and they respond back and you're just not comfortable with it, just delete it. Just delete it or block it. And that's usually, if it's a specific bank or if it's a specific entity that they're trying to use to gain knowledge, we will advise our clients to reach out to them locally and say, for example, SunTrust Bank.
Sure.
Not saying I got a smishing from SunTrust, but just for an example, reach out to them and say, hey, this group is using you as a smishing tactic or trying to get information. They can alert their security teams and kind of go from there. But, you know, just touching real quick on the viruses, malware, and spyware, the good thing about mobile device management is it is actively combating those as well. So just like you're combating them on the PCs and the laptops and the servers, that's the whole kind of point of mobile device management, is it's constantly updating with the viruses, malware, spyware, because our devices are becoming just as prone to them as our desktops are.
All right. Yeah, I've gotten at least 3 texts in the last 2 months for smokeless cigarettes. Yeah. And it would have a web address on there that it wanted me to click to go and purchase those. And I'm sure that, you know, number one, I don't smoke. Number two, even if I did, if I clicked on that, it would probably capture my information, my credit card information, who I am, my name and address and all that stuff, and then, you know, send that off to the hackers that would do whatever they want to with it and buy whatever they want to on my behalf. Yeah. So, okay, good. All right. So what safeguards do you need in place in case your device is lost or stolen?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to answer this with the Will Cook story. I think I've shared this with Charles previously. It is very critical, if you do not have a device password on your BlackBerry, iPhone, Android, right now while we're talking, you need to put a device password on that phone or on that device. About a year ago, I had a BlackBerry at the time, and I was carrying my BlackBerry and really just thought that the password was another step that I had to go through to get into that device. What I didn't see the value of it is that password is protecting me, just like right here, in case I lose or, you know, I lost my phone or it had been stolen. So I was downtown with my 4-year-old at the circus, having a great time. Last thing I was thinking about was losing my phone. Somewhere between the arena and my car, my phone fell off my belt. Now, by the time we got in the car, got home, probably about 45 to 50 minutes had elapsed. During that time, someone had found my phone. Normally, in the good old days, you find a phone, what do? We We try to figure out whose it is, maybe turn it into lost and found.
Call
something.
home.
Exactly. Right. Something of those. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. The person that found my phone decided that it would be fun, cute, not sure, but they sent some really, really bad, vulgar text messages to pretty much every female that was in my contact list.
Wow.
So that was on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. So I walked up to Saturday morning soccer games. Mm-hmm. And let's just say that most of the soccer dads weren't really excited to see me.
Right.
They were really upset with the text messages that had been sent from my phone later that previous night.
Right.
So what I learned from that is, first of all, I should have had a password on there. It would have protected it.
Right.
Now, the cool thing with mobile device management, going forward, should I ever lose or misplace my devices now, mm-hmm. I have another layer of protection to where my phone can be wiped, my contact, it's password protected.
Right.
Passwords are locked down, my contacts are locked down. So that's something I had to learn the hard way. And even today, talking with friends and family, I've shared that story. They don't have passwords. Right. So my number one recommendation, just basic today, is make sure all your devices are password protected. Right. And the next topic is, what do we do if your device is lost or stolen? Call your carrier immediately.
Okay.
That was something that I didn't realize it and didn't do as well. The minute that I lost my phone, I called Verizon. All the carriers are very easy and willing to work with us, okay, as long as we notify them. So when you call that carrier and say they even have a separate prompt for the lost or stolen device. Mm-hmm. And what they can do from a network standpoint is lock you down. And that will prevent all those text messages being sent. They can't really protect you against your contacts and things like that, but they can make sure there's no calls made, there's no data, internet used, and there's no texting.
All right.
So that's just something to make a note of. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but it's always good to know.
All right. Now, I will say this. It's very simple to set those passwords up on your phone. And depending on your phone, like if it's an Android phone, you can either go in and set up a password, or you can set up a draw. It's got a pattern on there, like with 8 dots, and you can draw a pattern on there. What I do suggest, though, is when you do go set that up, that you write down your password or your draw pattern, draw it out on a piece of paper, put it in your wallet, put it in your desk somewhere, so that in the event that you forget what it is, that you don't lock out your device. My son had set a password on his phone.
Yeah.
It's a Sprint phone. It's the new Galaxy, and he had forgotten the password. Well, all his pictures, his personal information on there, we couldn't back it up at that point. And so we didn't have access to do any of that. And so I started to blow away the phone and reset it, and he kept warning me that, you're going to lose all the information. I said, you know what, I'm just going to set it aside, wait another week. And he was sitting there with his phone one day, and he started shouting, I remember, and he remembered what he had set the password to, and he keyed it in and unlocked the phone. So luckily, the first thing he did was plugged it up to the computer and backed it up, and got his information there. But it's as simple as just going into your settings and then security, and you can set a screen password right there. I believe that's what it's called, screen lock. Yeah. And you can set the screen lock to lock after 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or immediate. I suggest immediate, because if you're on the phone and you hang up and your phone locks and you lay it down, somebody picks it up and walks off. If they within 3 to 5 minutes open it, then they still have full access to that.
Absolutely.
So I suggest the immediate lock.
It's always a good recommendation. Yep.
All right. Now, one of the things that we haven't talked about today, we've been talking about mobile device management, but one of the things that RCG offers is that they will actually analyze your cell phone bill and analyze your phone bill and look at what you're paying as far as to the different carriers. And so Nashville Computer has been with Sprint for several years. Since we got rid of our Blackberries, we went to smartphones. We've been on Sprint services. So one of the things that Will did is he came in and he actually analyzed our bills. We gave him 2 months of bills. He went back, took it to his office. Within a week or so, he called us up, came in, sat down with us, and he had a proposal for us. And in that proposal was, you don't have to renew your contract, Nashville Computer. You can just simply make some changes to your existing month-to-month contract, or the agreement that we had. And in doing so, and just making a couple of modifications to the way that we had our services signed up, we used less cell minutes than we originally had purchased. So as we've grown, and now with mobile-to-mobile being free, a lot of our minutes had gone away, and we had not really looked at our bill to notice that. So when Will came back in, it was a great surprise that he could immediately save us $800 off of our annual bill, which is a great savings, because that's $800 that we were giving to Sprint. And I say giving to Sprint because we were, graciously giving them a tip for allowing us to continue having that big block of minutes that we weren't using. And so if you get nothing else out of this, log down your phone, put a password on it, and call Will Cook and ask him for the phone bill analysis. And I'll let Will explain a little bit about that and tell you what that entails.
Yeah, what we look at is this is just another way that we help our clients to make the telecom easy. In the telecom world today, probably the most confusing thing that our clients are dealing with are wireless cell phone bills. Most of our clients have one bill from AT&T, one bill from Verizon, and one bill from Sprint. And no carrier is going to have perfect coverage everywhere. We know that. But what we really work with our clients is we really look at trying to optimize that phone bill.
Okay.
If they've been with a carrier for a long time, their rate plans may not be what's the latest and greatest. They may be a situation where they're not really very efficient. They're not pooling together, or they're not working together. Not to get into all that today, here's what we do for you. We come in, we sit down, and we look at what you've got. We look at it a couple of different ways, or a couple of different solutions for you.
Okay.
And then we make a recommendation to you, and basically say, if we can help, if this is what you want to do, we can help you with it.
Right.
The other thing is that we may come back to you and say, your phone bills look great.
Okay.
You're completely optimized. You're very efficient. Everything's in order. This day and time, sometimes getting that news is a little bit of peace of mind.
Okay.
They don't have to worry about changing providers.
Right.
We're not coming in requiring you to change. We're not asking you to change devices. We just simply look at what you've got, and it's usually pretty painless. Your example was right on. We drop in, we introduce ourselves to you. If you're not here in Nashville, you can send the bills to us via email. We do an analysis, and usually within about a week's time, we can turn those around, and then you tell us how you want to go forward. And that's how we do it.
All right. I know we were at the threshold of, do we replace all of our phones? Everybody's phones worked fine, except, I had an issue with mine, but everybody else seemed to have no problems with their phones, and so why go out and buy new phones and sign up with a new,
Absolutely.
3-year agreement if we don't have to?
Right.
And thanks to you guys, we were able to come in and not have to do that. And then the other part of that is, if you come in and save a company money, then that can help with offsetting the cost of the mobile device management piece of it. Absolutely. So that you may be able to protect your phones or your devices without getting an increase in bill. There is that possibility.
Sure.
So either way, you want to protect your company data. You want to make sure that you know what's on your employees' phones when they're out in the field, and if you have to terminate. I know a few years back we had an employee that we needed to terminate him, and we had to terminate him immediately. And so we started changing passwords and things of that nature, and I wiped his phone. Now, Nashville Computer on the phone.
Sure.
And he got upset because, his phone got wiped while he's out,
Right.
driving in Nashville. But the thing is, I didn't want him sending any corporate emails or texting or anything from his business device.
Absolutely.
And so this is more and more coming into play as more people are bringing in their own devices.
Sure. Sure. But no, my number's there on the screen. I am right here in Franklin. So that's our direct number, 567-2222.
Okay.
Very nice young lady named Janelle Wilson will answer the phone. Just asks to speak to me, she'll transfer you direct. My email, if you'd like to email me, it is wcook, C-O-O-K, at myrcg.com.
Okay.
And I'll respond. I get that on my iPad and my iPhone, and I'll get back with you. And you know, at this point in time, a lot of our clients or prospective clients, we'll just go in and visit with you and just kind of see what's on your plate, what we can help you with, and you know, we love the opportunity to work with them.
Okay. And at any time, if you're watching this live or if it's recorded and you have additional questions, you can email Will. Again, that's wcook@myrcg.com. So I want to let you know that Nashville Computer does offer Webinar Wednesdays. We have different webinars every Wednesday. Some of them will repeat. We're going to have cloud computing, what's the buzz. We're going to have how to make a Facebook page for your business, a place page, so that you can get your business on Facebook. We'll also have one about how to set up a Twitter account for your business. And I know I follow RCG on Twitter, and I see updates and things that you guys publish out there. So you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/NashvilleComputer. You do have to be logged into Facebook, like our page, and you'll get videos, updates. Our newsletter gets published there, things of that nature. So on behalf of Nashville Computer, I want to thank Will Cook for coming in, and appreciate him and RCG taking the time to meet with us. And I really feel that this is a valuable solution for our clients, which is the reason I invited him in to be on one of our webinars, and look forward to working with them in the future, and I hope you guys do as well.
Thanks, Charles. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and our partnership with Nashville Computer has been very, very good for us, and as we've worked on a lot of joint projects and working with clients, and looking forward to doing more of that this year.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.